Hey guys, how you doing? Good morning, good evening, good afternoon to those around the world. Welcome back to our another Pokemon Unite tier list. By me, by the community, by the Discord, by my group in general. You know, everyone that plays Pokemon Unite in the Discord, what have you. We sit here, we play this game every single day, whether it's in a team, solo queue, whatever. Everyone has different opinions. I'm gonna go ahead and give you my brand new tier list in which AEGISLASH is now featured. But in any case, we're gonna dive into it. We're going to talk about most of these Pokemon. Some of these aren't going to get very many introductions, but we're going to talk about majority of the Pokemon here. Let's go for it. Now, my tier list is a little bit different than a lot of other people's tier lists. We're not going to rank these like S+, A+, none of that. We're going to keep the B and C, you know what I mean? But we're going to talk about this in group play. We're going to talk about this in competitive, solo queue, whatever. In any case, we're going to get some of these right out of the way, right off the start. And we shouldn't really have to talk about a lot of these Pokemon. Even though Lucario has gotten a little bit of nerfed when it comes to his close combat, he's still, in every single game, pretty much, almost, give or take. And 9 out of 10, if you're playing in a stack, like a 5-stack or whatever, and you get grouped up with an enemy team that has a Lucario, more than likely he's going to be solo top lane. And if you're not used to dealing with Lucario in the solo top, if you're not used to dealing with Lucario in lane, when the bot lane generally has 3 Pokemon, he can be very, very difficult to deal with. But he has the same concept of going back and forth scoring a goal, you know what I mean? There's nothing has changed. He just does a lot of damage very, very quickly with slow smoke. And I think every team in competitive is probably going to be using this Pokemon. Almost probably every team in competitive is probably going to be using this Pokemon in the top lane, give or take. But we're going to dive into the next one, number 2 on this list. It should be no surprise to anybody else out there. Venusaur. Right now, competitive, we're talking tournament-wise, we're talking just master rank competitive 5-stacks. Venusaur in the bot lane with 2 support. This Pokemon pretty much never dies. If played right, if you get your level ups, if your lane is doing well, Venusaur pretty much never dies. You got your Eldegoss down there, you got your Wigglytuff, or you got your Eldegoss and Blissey. This Pokemon is a monster, and it only gets worse if you get the first Dreadnought and he just starts to scale. Like, he's very, very difficult to deal with because you cannot burst him down due to how much sustain that he has with 2 pocket healers. But you know, there are other Pokemon on this list who can also be a huge issue. And we shouldn't have to talk about her. We all love her. We hate to see her. Especially when it's on the enemy team. But on our team, as long as she's not running rollout, she's doing it right. You know what I'm saying? Wigglytuff runs in, sings targets down. If you're not following Wigglytuff as she's engaging, or you know what I'm saying? You're not going to do a lot. She sings teams. She gives you CC immunity. You know what I mean? She gives you, it's crazy. Buddy barriers, on top of buddy barriers are in fights with Zapdos. Wigglytuff is very, very, very good right now. And I think a lot of people sleep on her, you know what I'm saying? Sleep. See what I did there? Kill me. But in any case, we're going to move on to the next one. In my opinion, right now, Slowbro. Now, we don't see Slowbro a lot in solo queue. But in group play, competitive play, 5-stacks, this Pokemon is nuts. He can get rid of any Pokemon in the entire game for free with his Unite move. Literally pick a target, pick them up, guess what? If they're unstoppable, don't matter. Slowbro can stop them. He can stop Unite moves and in their tracks with his Unite move. He is so good at doing that. And as long as you're playing, you know, like I said, in a stack, in a Discord, in a group setting where you're like, hey John, I crowd control Lucario, come get him. And be like, sure bud, right there, you know what I'm saying? Like, Slowbro is very, very good in that mindset. Coming at you with Surf, as well as all of that crowd control on top of Wigglytuff. Keeping Venusaur alive, he's very, very good at doing that. Now, when it comes to, you will see Talonflame. I'm not going to say Talonflame is in almost every game, because as you start climbing up in solo queue, I'm talking 1800 plus, give or take, you don't see Talonflame as much in the solo queue world, but in group play, he does still see a lot of play in teams. Because stealing that first Dreadnought or getting that first Dreadnought can make a huge impact in that game. Because what happens when you get that first Dreadnought? You're going to have your Unite move. You got a Cinderace on your team, got a Talonflame on your team, guess what? You're getting your Unite moves. Then you go top lane, rotate for that Rotom. That's another easy steal for you guys, because you guys have Unite moves. You're already ahead because you got the Dreadnought. Talonflame makes the game a lot easier, especially when you play this Pokemon fairly well. Even at Zapdos, when you're behind, he can just steal objectives. He's very, very good at doing that. He does a lot of damage. But I digress. We don't need to talk about Talonflame so much, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people don't like seeing this Pokemon. I, for one, hate seeing this Pokemon, but he's just so good. Will he see a nerf this patch? I sure hope so, but will he get one? Probably not. We got Eldegoss almost every game. Whether it's not a solo queue, whether it's not a 5 stack, 3 stack trio, competitive. She is another Pokemon that batteries Venusaur in the bot lane, meaning like she keeps him charged, she keeps him healed and everything, shielded, all that sort of stuff. She's just the best healer in the game, hands down. So where's that leave Blissey? Me personally, I might put Blissey in the B tier. That's just me. Because I think, Wigglytuff and Eldegoss make a better support for Venusaur. They make a better support overall in the game. 9 out of 10 when you see a Blissey in solo queue, they're not that great. Let's be honest. They're Unite moving the wrong targets. They're Unite moving your supports. They're not engaging. They have Egg Bomb. There's just a lot of miscommunication sometimes, I think, in solo queue environment when it comes to Blissey. In team play, I think she can be great, but you're not going to see her as often unless they're running the stack in the bot lane, with Venusaur, Blissey, and Eldegoss. But, each their own. We will be seeing a lot of Greninja, because I've always said it, best jungler in the game, in my opinion. Yeah, I'm biased when it comes to like other Pokemon, i.e. Gengar and stuff, but Greninja, still hands down best jungler in the game. Especially once he gets ahead, he just like Cinderace, can carry the game no problem. Getting that red buff, getting that blue buff, he snowballs, he's very, very strong for what he does. Now, speaking of Cinderace, that should be pretty much, in every game, you will see a Cinderace player generally. And for all the right reasons, this Pokemon has all the right tools to get to Masters, has all the right tools to stay in Masters. To cement you being a good player is Cinderace, because at the end of the day, this Pokemon is all about what? Positioning. You could argue, what if he doesn't have any defenders on his team? What if he has no front walls? As long as you're not in the melee reach with Cinderace, melee range or whatever, you're keeping your distance, your max distance on your auto attacks, you're doing positioning very, very well. Cinderace is pretty much unstoppable in the right hands, let's be honest with you. Just like Greninja, once he gets rolling in the jungle, in the top lane, in the bot lane, whatever, once he gets rolling, if you play him well, you will succeed with this Pokemon. And he brings a lot of damage to the team, as well as keep away abilities, whether it's Feint, Flame Charge. He's got a lot of tools. And he can steal objectives with his Unite move. But there are a lot of Pokemon on this list that actually need buffs, that need another look, need something to make them more relevant, to make them come back into the metagame. And sadly enough, there's quite a few of them. Like, there is quite a few of these Pokemon. Got your Ninetales, got your Cramorant. I hate to say it, we got the Sylveon. You know what I mean? And you have yours truly. I'm depressed by putting him here, but you have Gengar. There's a lot of Pokemon that go into the bottom tier, not necessarily meaning they're bad, because I would never say a Pokemon is actually bad per se, but they need a lot of love to come back, to snap back, to be more useful than what they already are. You know what I mean? You have a lot of these Pokemon here that need buffs. Cramorant, we shouldn't really need to talk about it, right? When's the last time this Pokemon has seen competitive play? For instance, like, you're playing a 5v5 stack. When's the last time you've seen a Cramorant on the enemy team? When's the last time you've seen a Cramorant in a trio? You know what I mean? This Pokemon brings crowd control, you could argue, but he doesn't bring much more than that. And he needs some love. A lot of Pokemon get those unstoppables, he can't be crowd controlled or whatever. Ninetales falls in the same category. Yes, she got a buff recently, but that's in terms of her damage. Right, that's it. And once you miss her burst combination, you got nothing until her cooldowns come up, for instance, right? And then on top of that, her Unite move sounds fantastic. But for a Pokemon such as Ninetales, she does not necessarily want to be like in the middle of that team fight, for instance. You don't want to be there as Ninetales. That kind of puts me off when it comes to performing well with this Pokemon, because again, think of other Pokemon, for instance, where Blissey has Unite move, or Wigglytuff Unite moves. They kind of want to be in the center of the action because they benefit more by being in the middle of the fight, giving their shields and buffs to everybody. Blissey literally runs in there, Ninetales is so squishy. In the middle of the fight, she pops a Unite move, and then what? That's it. Let's say she already casted her burst right before she does that. Then she has nothing else. We don't see her in competitive play. We don't see her in 5 stacks, generally speaking. Sylveon, as much as I love this Pokemon, really needs a damage buff. Whether it's Mystic Fire, obviously when I'm playing Sylveon, I'm getting my auto attacks off in between my jumps with Mystic Fire. Hyper Voice is one of those abilities that it would be better if you can target Pokemon, you know, like move it as you're playing her, you know what I'm saying? Whereas a good player is just going to move out of the way, go up or down, whatever, left or right, whatever you want to call it, dodge Hyper Voice. I think she needs a buff. Not necessarily make her as strong as she was on release, where Hyper Voice was pretty much decimating people. Not so much that, but give her something else. Like, give her more damage at some point. She needs something. You rarely ever see this Pokemon in 5-stack. She did not get played as often as we may want her to be. Gengar? Do I really need to go over this? I love this Pokemon. Extremely biased when it comes to Gengar. So my thoughts and my opinions are just, I can't. We can't get into that. Decidueye, for instance. We call this Pokemon the Throwing Bird because this Pokemon got a buff for Spirit Tackle. Cool, it gets extra charges. Why or how should that stop players in solo queue from just headfirst running into a team fight and just popping their Unite move when everybody is there, for instance, and just gets slapped? Like, it happens way often than you think, especially at Zapdos fights. They think just because they have this long-range Unite move, they can be useful by trying to snipe Zapdos. Sometimes it works out. Sometimes they just mess up because it's so hard to control and so hard to aim the ability. You know what I mean? Or when they get inside of a team fight situation, they just get deleted because they miss position. Unlike Cinderace, the Decidueye has no escapes whatsoever. You may have a eject button. Cool, that's it. Cinderace has like 3 of those. You got Flame Charge, you got Faint, you got eject button. There's so much more mobility to that Pokemon than the Decidueye. You could be a much better Cinderace than you could be a Decidueye. Like, why spend your time playing Decidueye when you can play Cinderace? You know what I mean? But hey, each their own. Mr. Mime, for me, C tier. I think this Pokemon is absolutely really good, but only in the right hands. I think he's very difficult to pick up and play. This is why I don't think he warrants that B tier. But for those people that are out there that play Mr. Mime, and you know who they are, they're very good with this Pokemon. They will argue this point no matter what because they are really good with this Pokemon. But I think he has a very high skill ceiling that not a lot of people see in solo queue, let alone in group play. That's just my opinion on that. But there are some other Pokemon here who are super duper easy to play, and yet they're not higher on that tier list. We got Absol, right? I think in the long run, this Pokemon could probably be in the top lane position where Lucario is once Lucario gets nerfed. Because at the end of the day, Lucario does a lot of damage, close combat, slow smoke, or whatever. Absol does a lot of damage hitting the target from the back, for instance. In a one-on-one situation, in the top lane, I think he could succeed if it wasn't for Lucario being up there. Because he does a lot of raw damage. He can do trades just well and get out of the situation with his dashes, and his damage abilities could one-shot a lot of squishy targets that come up to gank him. I think he can do well in that situation. But when it comes to solo queue, we're not going to see a 1-1-3 in a solo queue situation normally. It's going to be, normal lanes, 2 on top, 1 in the middle, and 2 on bot. Absol takes that jungle role. And in jungle role, I think a lot of people struggle around the fight when Zapdos shows up. Because you're in that choke point, not a lot of people realize how to position well with Absol when it comes to that choke point. This is why I think he has a little bit of a higher skill cap than just picking up and playing. It's knowing when to go in, when not to engage, who can you engage on, knowing everybody has buddy barrier. There's a lot of things going on. Snorlax, it's going to be a B tier for me. I still think Snorlax is one of the best tanks in the game. Right now, not as strong as Slowbro. Just again, for me, personally, because I've always thought Slowbro was really good because of his Unite move. And hands down, one of the best Unite moves in the game when it comes to crowd control. He does well. Slowbro, on the other hand, Snorlax, on the other hand, still a very good tank. Very good front line. As long as you're positioning yourself well and protecting your carries, solid tank. Mamoswine, also the same. Ever since he got his rework, very good tank. I love seeing Mamoswines on my team, especially when they're good with him. He can go in the top lane of solo versus Lucario because he's super tanky, or he can be in the bot lane, or if you're doing a 2-1-2, he can still be one of the best tanks on your team. Blastoise is probably going to be here for me as well. I don't really think we need to talk about Blastoise. I think Blastoise does enough on his own for what he does. I don't think he's as good as Mamoswine. I don't think he's as good as Slowbro or Snorlax. But, you know, he's there, right? He does a little bit of damage, a little bit of crowd control. I still think Mamoswine and the other two are better, personally, but each their own. We got Pokemon like Gardevoir, which I think you will probably see her in a lot of teams. 5 stacks and what have you, because she shines in the jungle. Ever since she got her rework, this Pokemon is phenomenal in the jungle. Getting her levels early, getting her Unite moves. If you're playing this Pokemon well, hands down, you can get 3 to 5 Unites per game. Maybe the 5th Unite is probably pushing it after the Zapdos fight, but you can get up to 3 to 4 Unites per game playing this Pokemon well in the jungle. I kid you not. She's very, very strong. As long as you can land your Future Sight ability, she's very, very solid right now when it comes to team compositions overall. Now, you have other Pokemon like Zeraora, who got nerfed quite hard, and he's going to be C tier for me. Because now you literally just have one playstyle when it comes to this Pokemon, is Wild Charge. And not a lot of people like that ability. A lot of people find that ability unfair because he can't be crowd control or targeted or whatever, but he's not as strong as he once was. He definitely needs some love, personally. Charizard, my opinion, I want to say he's going to be in a lot of teams, but as of right now, he shines in competitive play. He shines in a 5 stack. He does really, really well in situations because, just like Slowbro, he can pick up whoever he wants to or move them from the game by doing damage to them. You know what I mean? Charizard flying in the air, everyone's running away. You can't really do much to him. He's going to burn you down. He does a lot in that situation, opposed to what he used to do way back in the day before they buffed him up. Quite a lot as to where he is right now. And if you're playing him in the jungle, just like Gardevoir, just like every other Pokemon, you can have your Unite moves up a lot more frequently than you were before. And that just means more Charizard running around, burning anybody he wants to, and you can't stop him. Garchomp, as much as I love this Pokemon, as much as I love the Pokemon in the anime, the TV show, whatever you want to call it, right now, C tier. Sorry, hands down. He was D for a long time for a lot of people, right? But he got his rework, he got his little mini buff and everything. I still think he struggles in the right hand, in the wrong hands. In the right hands, he might be a little bit higher on tier list for a lot of people. But for me, in the solo queue world, I don't see this Pokemon performing that well. You're not going to climb well with Garchomp personally in a solo queue environment. In a duo, trio, maybe a group setting, maybe it's possible. But why spend X amount of time on Garchomp when you can play somebody else, for instance? He struggles from a lot, whether it's getting kited out, getting crowd control. There's a lot of things that Garchomp cannot super exceed with, where a lot of other Pokemon can. And then his Unite move is a lot harder to control for newer players. There's a lot of things that are in-depth when it comes to Garchomp, from his passive ability, that you have to have fully stacked when you're inside of a team fight without getting yourself just instantly deleted. Whereas some other Pokemon like, for instance, Dragonite or Machamp, Dragonite, you will probably see him in a lot of teams, whether it's in solo queue, whether it's in a 5 stack, whether it's competitive play, because he brings a lot to the table when it comes to his Hyper Beam. Comes to it, as long as you're performing well with his Dragon Dance, keeping his stacks up, this Pokemon can steal objectives, no problem. And then you have a lot of different build choices you can do with this Pokemon, whether it's Score Shield with Buddy Barrier, on top of your Unite move, you're scoring goals all over the map, or you're just here to do damage and make sure you're able to super succeed and steal these objectives like Talonflame with your Hyper Beam. He does a lot of damage for his auto attacks, especially if you're running Weakness Policy. Yeah, that's right, the good old Weakness Policy from the VGC days, Pokemon battles. Gotta have Weakness Policy on Dragonite, but each their own. Greedent, personally, I think he's a B Pokemon right now. I don't think you're gonna see him in a lot of teams, but I think he can work in a lot of teams because he's very, very good at doing what? Counter invading the jungle. Or invading the jungle, whatever you want to call it. If you're a very good Greedent player, you can make the Talonflame on the enemy team, the Greninja on the enemy team, have a very, very hard time in the jungle. But I think that's more so in solo queue though. Like if you were to play Greedent in a solo queue environment, and you're very good at counter jungling, this Pokemon can probably carry up the Masters no problem. You have a lot of fun with it, but I think in a 5v5 stack, I think the enemy team that you're trying to invade is probably going to rotate on you. You know what I'm saying? Like they're going to rotate, they're going to be ready for it. They say Greedent, they're going to be ready for it. But in solo queue, you can go and smash in when you want to with this Pokemon, as long as you're doing it right, because they have less communication, and Greedent shines in that situation. Now, he used to be a lot stronger than before. You weren't never able to kill this Pokemon. He can go wherever he wanted to, whenever he felt like it, and you couldn't do anything about it. They did nerf him down just a little bit to where he is now, and I still think he's super viable. Clefable's not in the game yet. I'm assuming she's coming up here soon this month, and I'm super excited for her. But right now, she's not here, personally. And then we have Serena. I don't think you're going to see her a lot when it comes to these competitive teams. In solo queue, you might. Not as much as you did beforehand, but, you know, she's still here. She's still hanging around. Right now, I'm going to give her a B tier, just because she does do a lot of work. But at the same time, like I said, in a competitive 5-stack, she's not there as much as she used to be way back when she first came out, when she was super overpowered, for instance. Right now, you could argue she's not balanced, per se, for a lot of people, but she's a much better spot than where she was on release day. But still, I don't necessarily think you're going to see her almost every game. I don't think she's going to be in a lot of competitive 5-stack teams for this tournament that's taking place right now. You're not going to see her in a lot of 5-stack teams overall, especially when most teams are on Lucario, Venusaur, you got Wigglytuff, Eldegoss, Cinderace, for instance. There's not a lot of spots for her, if that makes sense. Aegislash, personally, I really love this Pokemon. Like, I really do. I think he's a lot of fun, but I think he has one of the highest skill caps in the game. Second to, probably first to Gengar, personally. I think he's up there when it comes to how well you can perform with this Pokemon. By knowing his abilities, knowing how much damage you can do, I think he's really, really good in the right hands. But that's it. As a new player who picks up this game tomorrow and wants to play Aegislash, you're going to have a rough time, in my opinion. Especially because he has a lot of ins and outs with his kits. He has a lot of text that you actually have to read to understand his abilities. But he executes his damage quite well. He's just super, super squishy in a lot of these teams. But again, a lot of these teams are running what? Buddy Barrier, support Pokemon, a lot of support Pokemon, you know, Wigglytuff, Eldegoss. There's a lot of stuff you gotta burn through before you can actually deal damage with your Unite move. And 9 out of 10, you probably won't be able to execute a lot of these teams with your Unite move because everyone is trying to be more sustaining. You know what I mean? Like giving more heals and shields and all that sort of thing. But I think he does quite well. But like I said, in the right hands. And right now I'm gonna put it at C because he's brand new. So, I mean, we're going to give him some more time to flourish. I think he's a very good, solid Pokemon, like I said, in the right hands. But for right now, we're going to put him in a C tier to see where other players actually can pick up him and learn him in different team compositions and settings and all this sort of thing. But for right now, we're going to put him here. For now, maybe next week, maybe next month, he'll be S tier, A tier, whatever you want to call it. But for now, we're going to leave him right here. Machamp. I think you're going to see Machamp in a lot of games right now, a lot of teams right now. Not almost every game, but when it comes to playing in a team stack, like 5v5 stack or a group stack competitive play, I think you're going to see a lot of Machamp. Just because he brings a lot of crowd control, he brings a lot of damage, he's a big threat. As soon as you pop that Unite move, everybody's already puckered. Like, their butt cheeks are puckered. They're ready to go. They're ready to counterplay you, to get out of the way, for you to whiff your Unite move. He brings so much damage to a team. And if you're not ready for him, when it comes to Zapdos, when you step into that bush and he punches you in the face and wipes out your whole team, Machamp is that Pokemon to carry games. Even in solo queue, he does quite well because in solo queue, people are less coordinated, they do their own things, they don't rotate. You can do a lot of damage really, really quickly in solo queue, especially when you're a very good player. And Machamp has that opportunity, he has that potential to carry you, no problem. But you have other Pokemon who can do that quite well. When it comes to Trevenant, a lot of people like to write this Pokemon off. You know, and that's fine. He brings a lot of, sustain in his team fights. People can argue that he doesn't bring a lot of damage. That's fine. He's the first tank in the game that doesn't just one-shot you with their Unite move, i.e. Blastoise, steal objectives, all this sort of thing. Remember, Blastoise used to be a lot worse. But he brings sustain, he brings long fights, he brings a lot of healing, all this sort of thing. He brings very much a lot of crowd control when it comes to pushing targets, against walls or out of the way. I think he's very, very good. I don't think he is like Slowbro level good or Wigglytuff level good, but I think he's a very, very solid tank. Like, nonetheless, in the hands of a good player. In solo queue, you might struggle a little bit playing this Pokemon, especially if you're the only tank on your team, because then you have to depend on your team to actually engage when you engage. There's a lot of things that go on with him, and he can kill himself if he's holding down his abilities too long, if you don't understand how that works. But at the same time, if you're a very good Trevenant player, you know how to micromanage your HP and how much damage you're dealing to the enemy team, how much you're taking. He takes a lot to get used to. And Pikachu, I mean, let's be honest with you. Let's be fair. I think Pikachu is a very strong Pokemon, right, guys? Like an S tier, an A tier Pokemon, definitely up there. When it comes to being played on a lot of teams, you're going to see him almost every game, give or take. I want to say, yeah, I think you're probably going to see Pikachu almost every game. Just because, again, if you put him in the bot lane, let's say you take out, for instance, let's say you take out Eldegoss and you have a Wigglytuff, Venusaur, and Pikachu or whatever, or maybe you have a Pikachu just overall in the jungle or any other lane, he still can be a threat. Because he has so much crowd control, he has gap closures, he has CC, he can engage, his Unite move gives Buddy Barrier. Think about it. His Unite move is one of the fastest charging Unite moves in the game. What does that mean? That means more Buddy Barriers for your team, because you have your Unite move up more frequently. Kind of just like Charizard, but at the same time, he's a big ol' AoE. And then on top of that, you have Electro Ball, which can execute when the target is lower at threshold. He's a very, very solid Pokemon all around, and I think a lot of people sleep on Pikachu, and they shouldn't. But at the end of the day, this is my these are my opinions as the communities, this is my community in the Discord. This is what I think overall we would probably, you know, sum up this tier list with. But either way, this has been Pawse Plays. Hopefully you guys do enjoy. Smash that like button. Let me know in the comment section what you disagree with. I love to hear you guys' thoughts. But anyway, I'll catch you guys in the very next video tomorrow. Stay safe out there. I'll see y'all later. I'm gonna head out.